Hey everyone, it's May, and welcome to another episode of The May Lee Show. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether by podcast or on YouTube. So, 2020 is the year that just keeps giving. And unfortunately, the gifts it's giving are usually, have been at least, kind of bad. Some good, but a lot of bad. And I hate to start this podcast with bad news, but, as a journalist, I like to keep on top of what's going on all the time. And I can't help but talk about some of these things that have been taking place lately. One of the biggest stories right now is Kenosha, Wisconsin. Most of you are probably aware of what's been happening. Started with the shooting of another unarmed black man by police. And Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back by police while his 3 young children were in the car. He survived, but he is now permanently paralyzed. And so, of course, this shooting triggered protests in Kenosha. And the next night, there are several protesters out on the streets, and this 17-year-old self-proclaimed vigilante, Kyle Rittenhouse, decided to go from his house in Illinois and go into Wisconsin, driven by his mother, by the way, armed with an AR-15 assault rifle, and proceeds to walk the streets to what he proclaims was to protect property and stop these crazy protesters. Well, what he proceeds to do is to shoot and kill 2 protesters. And I will say their names, Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum. And then also blows off the arm of a 3rd protester. And then the most astounding part of this story is that this kid, still with his assault rifle slinged over his shoulder, is walking down the street after he's done this, after he's killed 2 people and maimed a 3rd. And he is raising his arms. If you guys haven't seen this video, you really should. Raising his arms, and police are passing him, bearcat after bearcat after bearcat, just passing him. This kid has an assault rifle, holding up his hands, and pretty much saying that I just killed some people. Police aren't paying attention to him. And finally, he walks up to a patrol car where the police get out and say, hey, stand back. But he's still not arrested, right? The kid goes home, back to Illinois, and then he's finally arrested after it's discovered that he indeed did kill some people. So what is most astounding about this story, and I think what shocked so many of all of us, maybe not all of us, a lot of us, is that this double standard that exists in this country of how a black man is treated for having done nothing. He's shot, and in the past, as we know, they have been killed. And yet this kid with an assault rifle, an AR-15, has just killed 2 people, maimed another, and he can walk away scot-free. So the double standard is truly mind-boggling. And yet again, we are shown by a violent, horrific incident. We're reminded of the division and the unfairness and the racism that exists in this country. I don't want to continue being reminded of this without something happening. I think we all, do we? Do we get this? Do we not understand this yet? How many more times does this have to happen? And so, for the black community, you hear them say, I'm sick and tired. When is this going to end? When are we going to be treated fairly? Right? LA Clippers coach gave a very emotional interview where he said, as Black Americans, we love this country. Why can't it love us back? Heartbreaking statement to make. Absolutely heartbreaking. So, I mean, I feel stupid saying my thoughts and prayers go to the family of Jacob Blake and the protesters, Andy Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum. But it's not enough. It's not enough. So we need to demand change. We need to show our support. We need to speak out. We need to speak up about these things. And, when something isn't right, you need to say something isn't right. You need to do something about it. We all do. We all do. And whether that means showing support to different organizations or, reading up and becoming more educated about these issues. And certainly voting in November. Exercise your right to vote because that's where you have some power to do something. Okay? I'm going to keep saying this until November, but I want you all to go out and vote. Okay? So that's been going on. And then, of course, very sad news about Chadwick Boseman, star of Black Panther, but also a man who really lived a full and dedicated life when it came to giving back, when it came to generosity, when it came to being authentic and using his craft as an artist to tell stories of heroes, real life heroes like Thurgood Marshall, who was a Supreme Court Justice, James Brown, Jackie Robinson. So he didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk through his artistry. But dying at the age of 43 of colon cancer, it's just, I think we were all shocked because it was sort of a hidden illness. But what a loss, but what a legacy for somebody so young to have left behind. So that was shocking news to us all. But on the brighter side, BTS, my Korean boys, they won big at the VMAs, which just happened a few days ago. They won for Best Pop, Best Group, Best Choreography, and Best K-Pop. So, I mean, my boys, what can I say? They're hugely talented. It makes me so proud that a Korean boy band can be so globally enormously popular. And so that is something that I never would have dreamed of or even thought possible when I was young and growing up in America. But you guys know, I mean, they performed the song Dynamite, their newest single, on the VMAs. And that's a song that broke all records. It got more than 10 million views on YouTube in less than a half an hour. And then I think in a few hours, it got like over 100 million views or something crazy like that. So yeah, they're on fire. They continue to be on fire. So congratulations, BTS. Hey, anytime you guys want to come on my show, open door, anytime. Okay. All right. Well, on to today's episode, which is another good story because it is about the success of an Asian American entrepreneur in technology who has now one of the hottest apps on the planet, without a doubt. It's Triller, right? It's the short video app that, where you can create all those short, cute videos and put music and you can edit, and it has all sorts of bells and whistles that other apps don't have. And Triller has been around since 2015, but it's just recently gained a lot of speed, a lot of momentum, and a lot of users because it is a competitor of TikTok. And TikTok, is the app that everybody knows about and, was all the rage. However, recently, you may or may not know, there's been a lot of controversy with TikTok because it's Chinese owned. And so there was fear of sort of data infringement and, kind of like worries about security. And so President Donald Trump started suggesting, you know what, I think I want to ban TikTok or else maybe a US company can buy the US arm of TikTok. So because of those concerns, uh, people started abandoning ship and they started going to Triller. So Triller has been on the winning end of this controversy. And on top of that, Triller is also suing TikTok for some intellectual property issue. So that's kind of an ongoing thing. But anyway, but needless to say, Triller has all of a sudden just become the it app. Everybody is using it worldwide. It is the number one app in like multiple countries worldwide now. So Mike Liu is the founder and the CEO of Triller, and he is a confessed geek nerd. He has no shame about that, as he should not, because you know what, nerds rule the world pretty much. So he, is the guy behind Triller, and he continues to run Triller, and there's so much more in store for Triller. But it's exciting times for the company, obviously really exciting times for Mike. So I had a chance to talk to him recently. So here is the interview with Mike Liu. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Mike, Triller, you guys are like on this amazing trailblazing journey right now because of everything that's going on. So, what is happening right now? Because I know that, the numbers of members and, people who joined Triller just like shot through the roof because of the whole TikTok controversy. So tell me where you guys are at right now with the company and what's happening.
Yeah, no, we've seen an explosive growth in the last, I would say, like 60 to 90 days, but this wasn't like an overnight success.
Yeah.
We've been actually building this now for 4+ years. And we've seen a lot of momentum in just the last year. But obviously, like, this where we are now, it's on this rocket ship exponential growth where just a few weeks ago, we simultaneously hit number one across 50 countries at the same exact time, right? Which has never happened in the history of any application, let alone an application that spent no money on marketing.
That's
right?
crazy.
So we hit number one.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. I mean, I can tell you from the inside, like, we really didn't celebrate it. It was more of like, oh my god, the servers are on fire. Like, you know, it. I didn't sleep for about like 48 hours that weekend. And then like the rest of the week we slept maybe like 2-3 hours a night.
Wow.
I literally just kind of pass out and like wake up and keep working.
Right.
So from the inside, it was like less of a like amazing moment, more like, oh my god, like let's make sure the service doesn't go down.
Right.
But no, from now that we've had a moment to breathe, sort of a small moment to breathe, the numbers are fantastic. We have a bunch of new announcements being lined up, that's pushing our platform to the forefront of the world stage.
Yeah.
And I tell my team now, like, we're not going to settle for anything less than at least over 1 billion users on the platform.
Wow.
So we're here to stay.
Yeah. Well, clearly.
Goes.
I mean, clearly. I mean, you're definitely racking up those numbers. You're definitely getting the momentum, and now, of course, you're getting the attention because of what's happened with Triller versus TikTok, and then all these other platforms that are trying to do similar things. But let's go back, Mike, because like you just said, Triller. It's not a new thing. It's been around since 2015. Right. So this is not an overnight success story. You've been working at this, but first tell me, back in 2015, I read, I obviously did some research. It really was started by people in the music industry who wanted to try to get content out there without having to rent a studio and spend a ton of money on that kind of stuff. And so that was the initial premise of Triller. Right. So when you became involved, I mean, you are obviously the founder. So was that the only thing that you were focusing on, thinking, okay, this is just going to be a platform for that, and not thinking that it was going to become this other thing of massive amounts of people trying to create other types of content? What were your thoughts in the beginning?
Yeah, we set out to do something unique. But my background is in product, right? So meaning that like when we built out any type of product, want to make sure that we have a strong identity to what it is,
Yeah.
right? Like why do we exist? Like what's the purpose? It sounds a little cliche, but as any good PM will tell you, like it's actually quite important for the longevity of the platform and longevity of the product itself.
Sure.
So for us, like since day one, our motto is we want the next Justin Bieber or Chris Brown to be discovered on Triller, right? And that's been like the guiding light. Like why do we exist? Well, that's the reason, right? Like we're here so that if you have 0 followers, you have no one, you're just basically, you know, an everyday person, but you can come onto the platform, get discovered, and become the next big thing, right?
Yeah.
And everything that we've been building is geared toward that, right? Geared toward our customers, which is in any case our users, right? Who are creating content, who are absorbing content. So when we started it out, you know, we actually did something that's quite different for a technology company, which is we went to the music labels first, right? So we actually went to talk to the labels. We went to talk to the music rights holders and said, like, here's what we're thinking of building. Can we partner together? Can we, you know, properly license your content? Versus what a lot of companies will do is they'll kind of wait to the last moment to you know, go work with the music industry. And I get why. Like the music industry is very, very old. It's very complex, right? There's you know, I've cut my teeth on that, and I'm still learning, right? But what Triller did differently is that we really went after the music side, and we wanted to be have music be our identity since the beginning. So that has helped us carry, you know, our growth, our reason for existence in a very crowded space, right? Like, you know, so yeah, that's kind of like the origins, if you will, of like why we exist, and it still permeates to today's product, right?
Yeah,
We're
it's still
heavily
the
market.
foundation, right?
It's still about music, right? People, but now I mean, there's more content. The content has dramatically diverse. Internally, I like to look at how many cat videos are on Triller as a strong indication of how diverse your content has grown. And there's a lot of cat videos, a lot. There's a lot of dog videos now. I'm like, okay,
that's
we made it.
That's the gauge, right? That's the goal.
I mean, you can look at all kinds of gauges. That's one of my gauges. It's cat videos.
Okay, that's hilarious. But let me ask you this: that when you first went to the record labels, like you said, it's such a complex industry, and it's also really restrictive. It's really protective. So when you first went to them, were they like, I don't know about this? Was there a lot of resistance, or were they open?
I think, you know, whether we were lucky about it, they were fairly open. Okay. Obviously, there was a lot of barriers to get through, lots of different legal departments to go through, but they were actually very helpful. Yeah. All the majors and the minors, and a lot of them actually ended up becoming investors and also equity owners,
right?
Which helped us in our journey along the way. So it's been pretty interesting in that way, and we're very like grateful for it.
But so when you started, obviously this was your focus. Then you started seeing that people were joining because they wanted to create other types of content. So was that something that just happened organically, or was that part of your long-term business plan for Triller?
Yeah, no, it's always been something that we built in with the goal. So like, you know, for us, we wanted to build a really easy to use editing tool that allowed, you know, anyone to basically come out with professionally edited videos.
Yeah.
That looks like you spent hours, if not days, on it. And that was always one. And then two, you know, we wanted to connect the dots in our ecosystem because the music industry, as it pertains to tech, has always been pretty fragmented.
Yeah.
Meaning that, like, you know, you have your DSPs, so that's, you know, the Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and then you have your social networks, and then you have your publishers, and you have your labels, and it was always a little bit disjointed as to like who is set to benefit, and sometimes it was like a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
But for us, you know, we wanted to make sure that we can connect the dots between all four of us.
Yeah.
And that's what we set out to do.
Yeah. So it's like one-stop shopping, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the editing tools on Triller that are so incredible because you've made it so easy to make high-quality videos just right there on the spot on your phone. And is that something that you guys developed, or this is all patented like this, you created it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have over 26 issued patents.
Okay.
And in fact, some of them other company our competitors are in violations of.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But it's something that we really honed in on, and that's like how Triller came about, right? Like we started out as a pure what we call a utility app, where
Yeah.
people just download a Triller to edit videos, and then they'll save it to their phone, and then they'll repost it elsewhere,
Yeah.
on Instagram or Twitter. But eventually, the natural evolution of that is that we open our own platform, have people share, but we needed to make sure that there was a reason why people would do it here
Right.
as well. So that's kind of like the evolution, which is a natural progression, right, of
Sure.
like how a company like ours would form.
So let me ask you, Mike, though, do you think things would have moved this quickly had it not been for Donald Trump wanting to, ban TikTok and pushing that idea of it being US owned, which is what obviously is they're going through right now? Uh, how different would your experience have been if that had not happened?
Um, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, so
Yeah.
I don't know what would have happened, but I think we're definitely not the only app out there,
Yeah.
right? And TikTok isn't banned, right? It's still there. They're still spending a huge amount of marketing. They created a $2 billion creator fund, aka we're just going to pay people to make content. Like they're spending aggressively, right?
Yeah.
And they're not banned, right? But the threat of potentially being banned has propelled Triller of all our competitors, of everyone else in our space, whether it's Dove Smash, Bytes,
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, everyone else. Out of everyone else, the industry has picked us, the market has picked us, the users has picked us to be the natural successor.
Yeah.
And we like I said, like, it wasn't like an overnight thing, and it was not because that users didn't have other choices, right?
Yeah.
I think it was a combination of the hard work we put in, as well as the audience that we built that made it successful.
Yeah, tell me about the audience because obviously they're younger. The demographic is like something like 18 to 25. Is that right?
Mhm.
Ish. Right. So I'm way out of that demographic. That's why I don't know that much about what's on Triller. But if there are dog videos, I might actually watch.
I will send you some really good dog videos. One of
Okay.
my favorite dog. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
pug in a Supreme hoodie driving a Mercedes,
oh my
like
God.
rolling. It's so good, so
Uh,
good, so
okay,
good.
I might have to look for that one, but yeah,
Yeah.
so it's obviously a younger demographic. So what is this demo wanting? I mean, clearly they're the ones who are using all of these different platforms, but what is it about Triller that they seem to be drawn most to? Because, like you said, there are other apps. And there are more apps
Mhm,
coming out, and it's starting to get crowded, right? I mean, you can see that.
mhm,
So, what
mhm.
is it for them that entices them about Triller so much?
Yeah, no, it's again, it comes down to the identity that we built,
Yeah.
right? Like, um, there are other. Let's use Instagram. Like we all use Instagram. I'm on it. You're on it.
Yep.
Everyone's on it,
Yep.
right? Instagram is known for A, photos, but B, even when it comes to video, they're known for status content, right?
Mm.
Like you go up there, you post what you're eating, where you are,
Yeah.
what you're doing, right? Those are status updates,
Right.
right? And that's the place that you do it from. If you want to make a skit, if you want to create a creative content, right? You want to put on a costume, you want to like write a 15-second script, or you want to do a comedy thing, you're going to put that on Triller or
Mm.
TikTok or YouTube,
Right.
right? Because we have built the identity that here are the creative content. You're not, no one updates status on Triller. Like no one like posts, here's what I'm eating on Triller. This is all about like either lip syncing, dancing, creation, creativity,
Mm.
and people gravitate toward that, right?
Yeah.
Creative content will always trump status content
Yep.
because it's more interesting, right? And we go, and the difference here is that we've created all the tools
Yeah.
to enable people to make really creative content, to
Right.
make it really easy, to make it so that you don't have to worry about licensing music that your video's not gonna get taken down because of like licensing issues, right?
Yeah.
So people feel more, they have a freedom to create content
Right.
that they just didn't have before, and they have now tools that are free to them that have artificial intelligence behind it to make it easier for them, so that they can make more creative content. And
Yeah.
that's a paradigm. And I think people who use our platform. They understand that, right?
Yeah.
So that you can literally get lost in a feed of just, if you like dog videos, you're just going to see tons of great dog videos, and we'll sprinkle some, fun skit videos, and maybe you'll like those, and we'll see you more of that. But the whole idea is that there is an abundance of content that everyday users are making,
Yeah.
because all you need is this phone to be able to do it,
Which
and
is,
that's the
yeah, which is why, this age of technology now, with all of this all these creative tools at your fingertips, is really changing the game. It's totally changed the media landscape. I mean, Mike, I started as a journalist in television 30 years ago. So you can imagine what it was like back then versus now when it comes to anybody being able to get out there and making a high
yeah,
quality video. That was not
100%,
possible before. So
100%.
in terms of what people are doing on Triller as well as other platforms, what do you see in terms of how this really is changing the media game and like what people are consuming, and then how content is being put out there? Because obviously it has to be monetized as well, right?
Mhm.
I mean, people are putting this out for free, but people now have to think about how they're making money. So for you guys then, how do you see this play out as a business for you, but also these content creators? Are they eventually monetizing, off of their work?
The short answer is absolutely.
Yeah.
Our goal is to have someone to be able to quit their full-time job
Yeah.
and become a 100% Triller
Okay.
user, right? Where that's what we ultimately want to create an ecosystem of. When it comes to the here and now, I would say, like, I think this right now, this period in history is the best time to be a content creator,
Yeah.
right? Everyone's vying for your attention, right? Whether it's YouTube, Triller, TikTok, Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's vying for your content because they realize the age-old truth of content being king.
Yeah. Sure.
And to be a content creator, you have your pick of what you want to do. If you want to go live streaming, there's Twitch, there's YouTube video, there's Facebook Live. If you want to create, 15-second skits, there's Triller, there's TikTok, there's places for you to go. So as more and more people become content creators,
Yeah.
we're going to go into an environment where, 30 years ago, there was a scarcity of content,
Yeah.
right? You had
Totally.
your three majors and maybe a few cable. So there's a very scarcity of content, but now you have an abundance of content, right? In
Yeah.
both short form, long form. And I think it comes down to, again, back to the identity of the platform and the users that you built, and it comes down to the recommendation system that feeds your content. Those things become way more important,
Right.
rather than just saying like, oh, like, this is this and that is that.
Right. There is a lot of crap out there though. I mean, because anyone can put something out there, right? There's some shit
Right.
out there that you kind of have to wade through, right? That's no lie.
Sure.
So again, because of there's this abundance of content, it's sometimes, I mean, I have to admit, sometimes it's overwhelming because you're
Hmm.
like, I don't even know where to go for decent content because there's just so much out there. So
Right.
again, is that something from your perspective as somebody who has this kind of platform and works on this kind of technology, to be able to allow for people to wade through the shit and get to the
Yeah.
better stuff?
Yeah. No, the recommendation system within Triller, the team behind content operations is the biggest team
Yeah.
within Triller. Right? Like,
Okay.
it's something that we take very seriously.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right. Like, there is a lot of, not so great content, and there's a lot of really good contents.
Yeah.
So how do you surface the two? Right.
Right.
So that ultimately will become the differentiator for all the different various platforms.
Right.
And and each has an identity to why they go there. Like, let's take, again, using Snapchat as an example, right? Like,
Hmm.
people, when they go to Snapchat, they're expecting a certain type of content, right? Versus if I'm going on to YouTube, I'm expecting a certain type of content. And it's that matchmaking of like your expectation versus your taste
Hmm.
that surfaces the right content for you.
Right.
But I think that, ultimately will become a parabolic curve as everyone understands how to do that properly.
Yeah.
So it comes down to like people who are creating content and where they're putting it, that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Now, I know that because of everything that's been changing recently with, again, because of TikTok, a lot of at least some high profile influencers from TikTok have jumped ship and come over to Triller.
Mhm.
Big music names have definitely joined Triller. So, I'm sure that for you, that must be a bonus because it continues to elevate your platform as the go-to
Mhm.
place. So is that something that you're trying to cultivate more of trying to get bigger names and influencers, that type to kind of, use your platform?
Yeah, I mean, we're always on the lookout for, really great creative content, right? People that have made, a name for themselves often do it because they made really good content,
Yeah.
right? So that, as a natural progression of our platform, will always happen, right?
Yeah.
But the goal of Triller isn't like we're not a celebrity platform, right? Like the goal of Triller is to actually give everyone an equal footing. In fact, we want people who have no followers, who
Yeah.
are just starting out to become famous on Triller, right? Like I said in the beginning of the interview, like the motto of Triller is that we want the next Justin Bieber or Chris Brown to be discovered on Triller. That holds a lot of truth. It's not just something that we say in
Yeah.
passing. It's something that we really believe in.
Has that
And
happened yet?
naturally, I'm sorry.
Has that happened yet on Triller?
It actually has happened a couple of times now.
Has it?
We had a couple of people get signed to Def Jam.
Oh, wow.
One that yeah, yeah. We had one who created the dance called the Woe. Um, that's the Woe.
Okay. Okay. I have no idea.
It's okay. It's all right. I figured you didn't, but I just
Okay. And that's it, huh?
hopefully that
Okay.
translates. Yeah, that's it. But it's a massively popular dance, and the kid who created it on Triller, and now his
Oh,
name's 10K Cash, and now he's signed to a multi-million-dollar label deal with Def Jam.
wow. Oh my
Mhm.
God. Okay. So it's worked. It has already worked on Triller. That's very cool.
Yeah,
It must
and
make
the
you
bigger story
proud.
is like little. I'm sorry.
It must make you proud, as the founder, and like that's the reason why you wanted to create this platform, and it's happening for these
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, I know. It makes me super happy, and like, and we're not even close to being done yet, right? Like
Yeah.
we've seen this sort of happen on TikTok as well, and we've seen it happen to people who, like Charlie D'Amelio. Like, I we're both at Columbia Records, and as we were going to elevator, I recognized her who was waiting. And I was like, Charlie, like, and she became famous through TikTok. She has
Huh.
78 million followers on TikTok,
Oh my God.
most of which happened in the last 6-7 months,
Oh
right?
my
Like,
God.
amazing story. Yeah, I mean, your kids don't know who she is. She's a mega star, and like, those are the people that we want to create on Triller. Those are the people that we want to elevate and
Right.
give them a voice to, and that's the end of the day why we exist,
Yeah.
right? Like we exist for that reason.
Right. Right. So speaking of monetizing, um, I know that recently you were going for a new round of 250 million for Triller. Are you still in the process of getting that funding, or have you already succeeded?
So I honestly can't comment on
You
that. I can't
can't.
comment on the
Okay.
rumors either.
Okay.
They're pretty private information, but I will say, like, given our success and how the world has perceived us, there's a lot of interest, and we're very excited about it. Right?
Okay. All right.
We were the number one in Korea last week, and now we're number two because an app called Barbecue Chicken has beaten us as the number one app, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with Barbecue Chicken being. I just want to know. I just want to know what app it is. I want to download it. I want to play with it. I want to know why they're the number one app in
Okay, that's
Korea.
hilarious. But
So
is it a Korean app?
it's a Korean app. It's in a but no. The reason I give that story is, like, we've hit number one in over 80 countries now, right?
Wow.
But again, no marketing, and we're just starting to do marketing, which we'll have some really really big announcements coming up as well. So
How is that possible,
we're
Mike? No
hmm?
marketing? How is that possible? You've done no marketing and you're now the number one app in 80 countries. What's the explanation behind that? Because that's
um,
amazing.
yeah, so like a lot of it is my background. A lot of it is, we understand growth hacking really well. It's a very technical term. Well, it's actually doesn't sound technical at all, but it's supposed to be a technical term. Where, the number one feeling that when you look at a Triller video is that you should bring in like joy and happiness, right? Like
Yeah.
you see a Triller video, your immediate reaction is like, oh, that's cool. How do I make one? How do I how do I see more of this?
Okay.
And then from that, you look at different ways of utilizing sharing, utilizing word of mouth. And one of the things that we build is a good majority of the Triller videos in the beginning. I would say at least 80% of them had more than one person in it. Right,
Mm,
it's multiple people creating the videos together,
okay.
and that's something that we purposely built and featured. So a lot of what we do, and again, like there's a lot of the secret sauce that we've done to get us to where we are, but it centers around the idea of like growth hacking
Huh.
and viral hacking.
Wow. Okay. All right. I just learned a new term today then. Um, so I'm curious though, because obviously we're all living through COVID still. Um,
Hmm.
and that's obviously changed people's behavior and what they're doing, and they have time and they're trying to like occupy their time somehow.
Hmm.
Has that also helped in the growth of Triller because people are looking for something to do? And one of the things is to create content. Why not? Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I mean absolutely right. Like I don't want to sound insensitive to the COVID crisis, but yeah, it's helped our growth because
Yeah.
people are home, people are
Right.
bored, right? They're looking for an outlet, they're looking for a way of escapism, if you will, right?
Right.
And for us, like we've definitely seen an uplift, not just us, but like all social media out there during this pandemic. But more also, what we've seen is that it's changed the way that live events, live concerts, live music
Yeah.
um, is also going to be consumed in the future. And we're
Right.
building a lot of things that will gear toward that aspect of entertainment as well.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because that is something that a lot of us think is forever going to change, right? I can't imagine when I'm going to feel comfortable going to a concert, a packed concert,
Right,
right? I don't
right.
know. I mean, and I used to go to tons of concerts. I really miss it, but I don't think I would be very comfortable going to one for a while. So therefore, is that going to change the industry forever? And if so, how? So like you're saying, yeah, a lot of this now, a lot of artists are streaming and putting things out online. I mean, is that really going to be the future forever, do you think?
I mean, it's never going to be the same again, right?
Yeah.
So I think the way that live music and people love live music, right? The
Yeah.
fact that a lot of artists make the bulk of their revenue from live touring,
Right.
right? And we have a lot of our artists who are investors tell us they're coming up projected short of $50 million this year
Oh,
because of the live missed opportunities, right? And they
yeah.
have to like recover that somehow, right? And I think for us is that we're building technology, we're building a medium that will allow them to do that.
Mm,
We're building like different experiences that we're testing to allow people to do that.
okay.
And we, secure the rights of the biggest one, which is the upcoming Mike Tyson fight, right?
Oh,
Which is
oh, I didn't know
100%
that.
owned by Triller. We're the 100% exclusive rights holders for both live streaming, pay per view, all aspects of it, right? And that's just one of many, many things that we're going to be announcing as it comes pertains to live events. That I think is really the future of the platform.
Yeah. Wow. I had no idea that you guys secured the rights to the fight.
That's right.
That's amazing. How'd you swing that
Yeah, there's
one?
a lots of convincing. We have a really stellar team at Triller,
Yeah.
and something that we have done really well with the Tyson camp is that we really exemplify the idea of like you do you, which is our motto,
Right.
and allows you to express yourself. And yeah, I mean it trust me, there were other people that wanted to bid for it, as you can
Oh,
imagine.
yeah.
Um, but the Tyson camp picked us.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. Okay, that'll be very
Thank
cool.
you.
Well, Mike, let me turn the subject a little bit here to your background. You mentioned, you have a lot of product and technology experience, like 16 years, right? So, you're no novice in this field. But tell me, and because, believe it or not, I'm a chick in her 50s, but I have viewers and listeners who are like teenagers. It's kind of shocking, actually. They're like in high
Hmm.
school, and obviously, I'm talking to mostly an Asian American community, and they really, I think kids are still really hungry for mentorship and advice and guidance. And then
Mhm.
when they see someone like you, who has obviously been successful in his field and an entrepreneur, particularly, right? They want to
Mhm.
know, like, hey, how did this dude get to where he is today?
Okay,
So
sure.
what is it about your background? I mean, were you always a curious kid? Were you always like somebody who wanted to kind of do your own thing? How did that all happen for you?
I've always had a curious, nature, and I always like to build things, right? Like, I'm like a super nerd.
Okay.
For your listeners, like, I know what the Horus heresy is, which, by the way, that alone would let your viewers know, like, how deep of a nerd I am.
Okay, no idea what that is.
Like,
Okay.
because I believe in the rings of nerddom, right? Like, the very outside of nerddom, it's like, you play video games, you like Game of Thrones, but then as you get deeper and deeper, deeper, like, the very center is like you LARP, um, which
That's where
I'm
you
sure you don't
are.
know what that is.
No idea.
Huh?
No idea what that
LARP
is.
stands for live action role playing. It's when people put on costumes and they say
Oh.
Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt against other people.
Okay.
See, inner, their inner.
Oh my God, that's
So
hilarious. Okay.
I've been a big nerd. I've been a big nerd all my life. Been very
Okay.
curious. Love computers. Love video games. But really love creativity. Right, like
Mm,
I'm one of those kids, which probably is similar to a lot of other that had the same upbringing, like played music, play piano, guitar, like so have a love of music and creativity, and my parents were very supportive of that creative side.
they were.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Then not traditional Asian parents who wanted you to just like do those certain careers, right? Of doctor, lawyer, engineer,
yeah.
right?
I mean, they had their aspirations, but I think at the end of the day, like they realized that I beat to the my own drum, and
Mm,
I think for a lot of the next generation, like I'm personally looking for new younger generation too that we can help, right?
yeah.
And I think given the opportunity that's laid before us, just as a content creator, like the world is yours, right?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to start.
Right.
Don't be afraid to fail. And beat to beat your own drum.
Right, exactly, and kind of listen to what you want to be doing, and not the all the noise around you, which tends to happen
Correct.
sometimes. Yeah.
Correct.
Well,
And embrace your nerddom. Don't be afraid of that. Right.
I mean,
Embrace
look
it.
look where it can get you. I mean, come
That's
on
right.
now. Well, Mike, what about your parents though? Did they immigrate to the U.S. or where are they from?
Yeah, yeah,
Were
they're all
you
here. We're all here. I grew up
okay?
in Tennessee,
You were you
so
born and raised in Tennessee?
yeah, yeah. So I'm like I'm a Southern boy, basically.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Ohio, so definitely
There
kind of
you
that
go.
typical Midwestern, sort of upbringing. What was that like for you, though? Because again, I like to always bring that issue into the conversation, it being, talking about Asian issues. Growing up Asian in America, especially in a place like Tennessee, and for me, Ohio, it was challenging for me. But what about for you? Did you have a pretty normal childhood, or what was that
You
like?
know, I look back to my childhood with like a lot of fondness, right?
You,
Like it was obviously the same challenge that you're probably alluding to, we all had,
yeah,
right? But I think for me, I look back with a lot of fondness, and I love growing up in Tennessee. I love the weather, the
yeah,
nature. It was a simpler time,
yeah,
but it's I look back in fondness.
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. And in terms of what's going on now, if you've been listening to my show or not, but I mean, it's one of those things where I have been talking about the xenophobia and kind of like the rise of racism in our country and things like that. How have you sort of dealt with that or not? And what do you see going on right now? And is that also something that Triller has taken in terms of subject matter? Are content creators talking about it or trying to address these issues at all? I mean, is that coming into play in any way?
Like we hold a pretty strong line on terms of letting creators be themselves,
Yeah.
right? We don't want to censor content, which we've heard a lot of our
Yep.
competitor is doing in terms of
Right.
censorship of content. We don't do any of that, right? We don't not going to accidentally, block Black Lives Matter
Right.
because by accident it just was blocked, which that's what the press says.
Right.
And for us, we want to create an open platform for everyone, regardless of which side of the aisle you believe in, and we want people to just be creative. And we're an open platform.
Yeah.
It's obviously like a sensitive time and sensitive topic, but we really stuck to our guns when it comes to that.
Right. Right. Well, I did notice, and so did everyone else, that Donald Trump joined Triller very recently, right? And he had like 1.2 million views in like a couple of hours or something like that. So you obviously, are attracting even the most powerful people to your platform. So does that, again, you don't want to be political, obviously, you want to stay neutral. But does that sometimes concern you in the future that people might start using it for, not great purposes, and then there might be divisions and kind of the hateful stuff that you tend to see elsewhere? Is that something that, worries you?
We've well, one, like we love to have the president of the United States, right? He's the voted president of the United States. And for us, we, like I said, believe of an open ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
We put together terms of service that all our users abide by, and we want that to be, the rule book, if you will. And we, outside of that, that's up to the creators.
Yeah.
That's up to people expressing themselves. We're not going to, silence anyone's voice. Mr. President is the most influential person in the world. Right. Like if I were to look at the list of influencers in the world, he would be clearly number one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So having him, we welcome him on the platform, but we welcome others as
Yeah.
well. Right.
Right.
Again, like we're mostly about freedom expression, freedom of letting you be yourself, and sticking to our motto of you do you on Triller.
Right. Right. Yeah. And hopefully people put out that good content, no matter what it is. Yeah. So you heard the news about BTS. They just put out a video that just like shattered all records.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got like 100 jillion.
100 million.
Yeah, I'm just exaggerating. It was like 100 jillion views or something like that, right? So
Sure.
something like that, if it were to go on Triller, that would just, would that be the ultimate for you guys? Something that earth-shatteringly like historic? Is that what you would just change the game, or is that just something that's not really in your kind of sphere?
No, we have upcoming announcements.
Oh,
that I can't talk about now.
Come on now, really? Nothing? No teaser?
Very, very exciting. I mean,
Really?
hey, we're the number one. We're the number one in Korea for a reason. So, we believe in K-pop. We believe in music.
Yeah.
Both Blackpink and BTS has broken
Yep.
tons of records
Yep.
on YouTube. Right. There's a very, 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 very strong following for that fan base. And as creative people shift, and Triller being one of the most creative spots for music, we have some pretty exciting upcoming announcements that I think people will be excited about.
That's a pretty good teaser, Mike.
That's doing my best.
That's a pretty good.
I'm doing my best.
Hey, listen, one of my final questions for you, though, is again, on the Asian front, what I find so fascinating, and I think that's what YouTube did for newbies and people wanting to create content, it gave an outlet for Asians to finally, express themselves where they couldn't break in the mainstream. Mainstream media still didn't want them, and there wasn't that proper representation, right? But on platforms like YouTube, and now clearly on Triller and others, it's allowing people who have maybe felt like outsiders or otherized, by mainstream, to get in and do their thing. So are you noticing that on Triller as well? Is that you're seeing sort of this really diverse group of people coming on and doing their thing in their different ways. And it's that beautiful idea of representation and diversity.
Yeah. I mean, Triller started out in hip hop, right? Like if you looked at our product even like a year ago, like you open it, you'll probably think like, wow, like it's a hip hop app.
Yeah.
because that's our roots, right? In fact, there was a MTV like a Jeopardy style where the question was, "What is the hip hop TikTok?" And the answer is Triller,
Huh.
right? And it
Wow.
was like, yeah, no,
Wow. You
and
made
look,
Jeopardy? You made
no,
Jeopardy.
no,
Oh.
it was like MTV Jeopardy. It was like an
Oh, okay. I
MTV
was like,
version
oh
of,
my God,
yeah,
Jeopardy.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no, 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 not traditional Jeopardy. It was like
Okay.
an MTV's version of it.
Okay.
But and the reason I bring it up is that, like, Triller has always been, supporting, creativity that, especially hip hop, which used to be seen on the fringe of music, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a subgenre, but now like hip hop and the culture has become the dominant platform in music,
Right.
in television, and movies, with Black Panther, with fashion, with, you
Definitely.
know, Virgil Abloh and Off White, and what he's done at LVMH, and now moving over to like cars, like with what Gucci has done with fashion. The most sought after shoe this year is a pair of Jordan 1 Dior's, which is retailed at $2,000, but
Oh,
aftermarket it sells for $15,000.
shut up. No way. Wow.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It's a
Wow.
pair of Air Jordan 1s that's made by Dior. They're sneakers,
Dang.
right? So hip hop, as something that used to be seen as a fringe,
Right.
is now like, pop culture. And
Right.
for Triller, that's where we started, right? Like we started in the high schools in Atlanta, right? We helped kids like Io and Teo, get popular, get their first song really, really like into the charts, right?
Mm.
So to answer your question in terms of, the broader representation, like that's always been Triller, right?
Yeah.
Like we've always been, one that, we had our own identity. We didn't care. Well, not that we didn't care. We wanted to embrace it instead
Yeah.
of like trying to shy away from it.
Right.
We embrace it wholeheartedly, and it's, part of our culture.
Which I think is great because I think that's what was needed in definitely the media. There weren't enough openings. There weren't enough outlets and platforms that allowed for that kind of diversity and that better representation. And again, that's the beauty of this new technology. It allows anyone to do it. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, for sure. Well, God, Mike, I think it's amazing what you have done and are continuing to do. Cannot wait to see what else you guys have in store. So we'll wait for those announcements. I'm assuming these announcements are going to be rolling out like fairly soon or
Fairly soon. Fairly
fairly
soon.
soon. Okay. Okay. And I'm happy to learn that you're a super nerd. And so I'm sure my super nerd viewers and listeners are going to be very psyched about that.
I hope so. I hope
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But listen, congratulations. Seriously, I think it's
Thank you.
great that you took an idea that maybe people in the beginning thought was a little weird or crazy or not going to work, but you were like, you obviously had a belief in the idea in yourself. So that's great. Your parents must be so proud.
You know what? My parents just tell me to eat and sleep. They I don't think they actually know what I do.
Actually, that sounds pretty accurate. Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds pretty
yeah.
accurate.
Make sure I eat a lot. Make sure I get enough sleep. Don't work
But
too
that's
hard.
an Asian parent. I mean, like, my mom, every time she calls me, the first thing she asks me, have you had lunch? I mean, it's like, I mean, that's what they do. So,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. Well, listen, you take care of yourself, but thank you so much for spending some time with me
Yes, of
on the
course.
show. And yeah, I can't wait to see what else you guys are up to.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, there's actually some news coming out that involves Triller and TikTok. Obviously, I didn't talk to Mike about this because we had done the interview a couple of days ago, but just this week, this news flash has come out where apparently reports are that Triller put in a bid to buy the U.S. operations of TikTok along with Australia, New Zealand, and India TikTok operations. And the bid is reportedly $20 billion. And then that would mean they are going up against bids with against Microsoft. And who else is bidding? It was Microsoft and somebody else, Oracle, and other investors. So, yeah, so this late entry into this bidding war for TikTok by Triller is very interesting. Apparently Triller, TikTok is denying this, but Triller is saying we absolutely have put in this bid. So they're serious about it. So that's fascinating, right? So if Triller were to buy TikTok, they would absolutely dominate that whole area of this kind of technology, right? So Mike, he was being coy when he said there were big things on the horizon. Maybe this is what he was thinking of, along with, I'm sure, so many other things. But needless to say, Triller is on fire, and they've got big plans ahead. So good for Mike and good for the whole team at Triller. I think it's fantastic. And the fact that he is, just so driven and so motivated to grow this company, I think it's fantastic. I know that in the past, he has said in interviews that he loves being the underdog. Well, if they get TikTok, I don't think he's going to be the underdog anymore. So that's for sure. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview with Mike. Let's see what is in store for Triller. But it looks and sounds pretty damn good to me. All right. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Thank you for watching. And remember, I always say this, please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, or follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And again, I always want to hear from you. So if you want to write to me on any of those platforms, and I would love to hear from you. Okay? All right. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and let's all try to stay positive. Okay? All right. Bye-bye.